The Ultimate Ninja Hero saga on PSP, until that moment it did not seem to have much relevance, until one day a game came to surprise an entire generation. Welcome to the next chapter of the Ultimate Ninja saga. This is the third installment for PSP. Welcome to Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Heroes 3. I think it's very important to start with the clarification of the names of this title and the saga in general. Is this the Ultimate Ninja 6? Short answer, no, it's not. Let's go with the explanation. The first three Ultimate Ninja games on PS2 were called Naruto Hero in Japan. When they reached the fourth installment and Shippuden Begins, this name was changed to Naruto Axel and Ultimate Ninja 5 was Axel 2. Now, what happens? That this game, released on May 11, 2010 on our side of the world, was called Naruto Axel 3 in Japan, which would give it the presumptive name of Ultimate Ninja 6 here in America. However, and different from what many think, this is not a sequel to Ultimate Ninja 5. This game presents for the first time, in fact, in a Ninja Heroes title, a story mode that relates canon events, different from the first, which only had an arcade and versus mode, and the second, which was an original story. That would be the main way, Path of the Teacher, similar to the system of progression by boxes that Heroes 2 handled. There are different types of boxes that will deploy tasks such as combat missions, displacement, cinematics, or dialogues, everything to tell us a very organized story for the start of Shippuden. In certain spots allow you to acquire practice guides. There are improvements for the skills of Naruto or the other characters that we will have the possibility to improve in different areas, such as mobility in combat or in platforming mode. Yes, there is a platform mode to move linearly going through obstacles and enemies. This may be a time trial or simply in order to clear the road. The same controls are used as in the traditional combat mode, and I think it is a quite enjoyable addition to make the experience more credible, longer, less simplified, with only chapters between events, and that ends up being something bad. As much as I like crossing this kind of minefield that, hey, over time they are becoming more elaborated and less bland, I feel like it doesn't end up favoring the long-term experience. Let's put it like this, you have one of the games that has provided the most content regarding its canonical story. You really think that the best way to go through so much story is just by replaying fights and using the platforming objectives in different ways? Because that is what happens. If that aspect was not alone, it would be a series of fights after another. With that, what differentiates you from a game like the first Mortal Kombat? Many minigames in Ninja Heroes 2 could have been helping to cushion the very repetitive experience that Master's Path offers. I mean, I know there are cinematics, dialogues, and unique events, but it is not a series of fights after fight. If the platform mode did not exist, it would be even worse. Think with which the large number of minigames that CyberConnect 2 had already developed previously could have helped. They would have had no problem fitting it in here again, just when it was needed. Finally, I'm diving a little from the progression scheme of the game in the free combat and race action schedules. They give you the option to choose different characters than the protagonist. This is a small detail that I personally appreciate a lot, because sometimes the developers do not realize the overuse they give us of Naruto, and already the fights are beginning to scream to see something new other than the shadow clones. There are also the collectible boxes that give you a specific object like songs or special images that you can appreciate in Naruto's house mode. This game stands out for its ambitious cooperative game method between two friends. In certain spaces of these matches, you had the possibility of a friend joining your mission to play both at the same time, or you could join his mission and help him. I was taken by surprise when I saw these two fighting simultaneously. I say Sakura was not an assistant, she is another character that accompanies us in the fight. At the beginning I felt weird the fact that three characters were fighting at the same time. For me, in fighting games, 3 is already a crowd. Even so, I began to enjoy the gameplay a lot, because more than fights where you had to concentrate a lot, it was about very fun combats where you recreated events from the story with the characters that were there, without omitting anyone. However, you have to know when to use this resource. The game has the option that the fights are 1 against 1. Why insist on Kankuro Naruto being in the middle of the fight between Gaara and Deidara, for example. More than contributing, it is hindering the representation of the events. The story is divided into 7 chapters, and each one has a number of different acts, so it is a long way and not so short as in other titles. Like in other opportunities, cinematics are not a priority, or at least not a luxury which CyberConnect can be given with this game. When something important enough happens, they pull out images straight out of the anime to emphasize the facts. As one progresses, the traps of the platforms and the pathways get more fancy, as we mentioned before. You must look for switches, open paths, dodge iron pikes, in addition to the enemies becoming harder. Now this game has the same problem as the previous game. The difficulty of your enemies is not measured by their skill, but by the number of times in a row that they can replace themselves at the moment they start taking damage. This makes it very frustrating in the late levels. After we go through all these iconic arcs of the fight with Hiden and Kakuzu, the training of the Rasen Shuriken and others, CyberConnect could not resist and they added a filler story. A ninja organization wants to plant a tree that absorbs the chakra of all living beings, and in the end Naruto and Sasuke join to defeat them. Doesn't sound familiar? But hey, it should be highlighted that if it were not for this filler chapter, the game would not have a full boss fight, and this was the one that was presented to us. It was nothing from another world, but it is appreciated, more running on a PSP. After this amazing chapter is completed, the story continues and we have the union of Team Heavy to go in search of his brother, Itachi. And although the game has a little hint of his fight with Itachi, the last chapter isn't about that, it's about the same filler chapter but from Sasuke's perspective. CyberConnect just loves to see us suffer. Still, the game covers a large portion of the story. It actually provides a lot of content. Repetitive, but a lot of content. We reach a crucial part of the video, the gameplay and the wide difference that exists between the mechanics of Ultimate Ninja 5 and this game are partly the irrefutable proof of why this game is not a sequel to Ultimate Ninja 5. Even though you show the facts to people on the face, there are just people who keep claiming that this is Ultimate Ninja 6. But okay, let's take a look at it. The graphic level is obviously lower than Ultimate Ninja 5 because it's a PSP. The chakra run is included. This can be cancelled in the middle of a combo to lengthen it or maintain pressure. It can also be done in the air. The grab action was removed. Hey, don't look at me, I'm not the one who is making more broken a combat system that was already broken by itself. It happened to having only one technique and only one definitive jutsu. This takes away diversity from the characters, but it is also compensated with the new way to enter Awakening, which can now be activated at will. Each one has a time limit, gives increased damage and speed, in addition to altering the moveset of some characters, gives us unique skills for each ninja. The jutsus had a very special variation. They could link with characters who share some kind of relationship. This in some way covers the absence of the double jutsu that we had before. The integration and movement of the characters as well as the reactions to the hits are much worse integrated, even worse than in other previous Ninja Heroes games. Many hits can be missed even when a rival is in front of you. We pass along and not because of your fault. It's just like the opponent's hitbox doesn't exist for a second. It is something you can only realize by playing it. The last one now had integrated commands in a different way. You had to put all the correct patterns and depending on the speed at which you press the buttons, the damage would be provided. One of the most evident changes was that of a combat system with 4 adversaries at the same time where you can play 2 against 2, 3 against 1 or Battle Royale, a brawl system. Well, the Ultimate Ninja had already had their Super Smash inspirations since its beginnings, so no surprise. 48 characters, a very nourished roster and with characters that I had never seen before, like 3 different variations of Pain, this small version of Kabuto, Kakashi and Obito, and even alternative versions of Naruto and Sasuke in school. It is really hard for me to say something bad about this game. As much as I want to argument it, the feeling that it leaves you upon finishing it, it is pure satisfaction satisfaction because of its system of unlocking rewards and characters. A very complete game for the platform on which it came out, and which gave a last breath push to the Ultimate Ninja games in this generation, laying the foundations for the arrival of an iconic game that deserves a great final episode. I hope to see you in that special chapter, and in the meanwhile, let me know in the comments what you think about this game if you got to try it. Do you agree with me or not? I will be reading them. Guys, thank you so much for watching. That was all for today. Take care and see ya.